Aloha Avocados! So we are going to do some shading today. So we are going to be working with something called value. So what did you think value was?
I thought value was like how much money something costs.
How much money. So that would be in math, right? So we have value in math, the amount of something. So that's not the case for art, even though you may make some valuable art. We want to focus on what value actually means. So what did I say value was? Do you remember?
Shading?
Kind of like shading. So value is the lightness or darkness of a color. Yes, so we're going to be working with a pencil, and how do you make a darker value?
You press down harder.
You press down harder, and then to make a lighter value?
You press down lighter.
You press down lighter. So you don't press as hard so that you have that scale of value. So we are going to be doing actually an eye today, making it look a little bit more realistic than what we might have originally made. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We are going to start by making our eyeball. Actually, we're going to start by making that eyeball. So what kind of shape could we associate with an eyeball?
A circle.
A circle. So we are going to use a cup. Make sure it is not wet. We do not want a wet cup touching our clean paper. So we're going to take our cup, we're going to put it in the middle of our page, taking a pencil, and we are going to trace right around the cup. So you do not want to press very hard. You want to make sure that you can erase it if needed. Okay? We have our circle. Now we have a perfect circle. You can obviously use a compass to make this if you would like, but cups are really easy. We're going to use a cup. Okay, so we traced a circle. Does that look like an eyeball? Not exactly. So this is going to be the first part of our eye. This is actually going to be, bless you, do you know what the color of your eye is? Do you know what the name of that is? This is gonna be your iris. So your iris is the color of your eye. So if you have green eyes, that's the color of your iris. So then we are going to start by making a little mark on either side towards the middle. So just a little mark. This is going to be the edges of our eyelid, so the edges of our eye. Everybody has different shaped eyes. We're just going to make sort of a generic kind of eyeball. So we're going to go from here to here, and we're going to make sort of like an arch. We are going to cut through our iris, because if you look in my eye, can you see the whole circle? You can't see the whole circle. So you're going to go ahead and you're gonna connect from one side to the other, making it kind of sketchy. It's not a perfect line. Not very dark either, in case we mess up. Okay, so you can see that the iris is on the outside of our eyelid. Okay, now we need the bottom of our eyelids. We're gonna take these corners and connect them to. You can decide which side is actually your tear duct. Do you know what your tear duct is?
I think it's these.
Yeah, where you cry from, right? So you can choose which side you want. So you can make just this sort of shape here, and then you will connect lines again. Okay, so you just kind of make this little tear duct. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not really like a perfect oval or anything. It's just this kind of odd shape. Okay, so what kind of shape does this look like? If you were to name a fruit, what kind of fruit would it remind you of?
Pear?
Pear? Pears are a little bit more rounded. Maybe a lemon? Kind of like a lemon, so we want kind of like a lemon shape. Okay, so that's the first step. We have this really odd line up here. Do we have our eyeball sticking out of our eyelid? Nope, that's crazy. So we're gonna use the eraser and we're gonna erase that extra line up here. We do not need it. Okay, so that's why we want to draw lightly so that we can erase it. Okay. So now we have our eyelid up here. So we want to draw the crease in our eyelid above. So we're going to go up and around our eye. Everybody has different eyelids, so you choose what your eyelid crease looks like up above your eye. So this is the first step. This is basically the outline. We want to start adding in some shading. The first thing you want to remember is we're gonna have a second part to this project. So you're gonna leave the pupil blank. You're not gonna add any shading into the inside of your pupil. Or your iris, sorry, not your pupil. Do you know what your pupil is?
It's the hole that goes into your skull.
Yeah, it's like the hole in the middle. So your iris, you're gonna leave your iris alone. Okay, you don't need to do your pupil either because that would be inside. So we are going to start, I like to start with the tear duct and add just a little bit of shading. You are pressing lightly, you're not gonna press super dark. I would press darker or press harder around the edges, the outline that you already made. And we can start filling it in. Now to shade, I usually make these little circles. It's almost like little bubbles, and I just carefully fill them in. Okay, and then I like to go down around. So we do have a little bit of kind of like a lip on the bottom of our eye. So we can add a second really small line. And that's usually lighter, so we usually shade in right above it. So where on my pencil am I holding it? I hold it way up here, so that way I'm not holding it real tight, I'm not pressing really hard, it's easier to make it lighter. So we're going all the way around. I like to start with my darker values first and then get lighter. Do you know where the darkest values would be?
The darker point. At the end.
Why do you think the end?
Because it gets darker.
Do you know why?
No.
So we're looking at the eyeball. So the eyeball is actually round. It's like a sphere, right? So you have the sides that are going backwards. It's going back into like your face, right? It's curving backwards. So these have shadows that are casting on the edges. So it's like the ball, it's going around. So that's why it's gonna be darker. We're gonna have these little shadows. I like to start with my edges and then go on to the circle. Even though this is the white part of your eye over here, is it ever gonna be fully white?
No.
No, because it's gonna have those shadows. You can do some shading underneath. I wouldn't do a whole lot, but right underneath that line, you can add a little bit of shading. Okay, then we have our eyelid up here. There's a lot of creases in our eyelids, so we're gonna add some shading up here too. So more shading. To our eyelid. Pressing harder around the creases. Might be darker around the edge again. What do you think we're missing?
The pupil.
We are missing the pupil, but we're gonna skip that.
The
right?
eyelashes.
You might need some eyelashes. What else is above your eye?
Your eyebrows.
Your eyebrow. So we can add in an eyebrow. Your eyebrow is gonna be the same width of your eye. It's gonna go along, however long your eye is. You're gonna go up and around. So everybody has different eyebrows too. Make sure your eyebrows are on fleek. Just kidding, you can do what you want. Okay, and then you can start adding in some details into your eyebrow. So you're not gonna draw every hair, but you can make some darker lines. Once it gets about halfway, it's gonna start going kind of down. Down this way. So it goes kind of up, slanted a little, and then downwards. Then in between, you can add some shading. If you need to go up back in and make things darker, you can. Okay. What do you think?
Good.
Good. So one thing you can do, if you notice that some of your shading, you can see those pencil marks, see how you can kind of see some of the lines here? You can take a couple of things. You can take your finger, you can take like a tissue or some toilet paper, or you can take a blending stump, and you can run whatever you have along your shading, and it kind of blends it. This nice blending. It will get lighter because you're kind of pressing it into the fibers of the paper. So if you notice it's getting too light, you might want to go on top afterwards and just add some more. Add some more shading. Does it make it look a little better?
Yeah.
A little bit smoother. Normally I don't use my finger, but you can. All works. Okay. So I can erase this. Okay, so now we have our beautiful, realistic eyes. It's not the only way to do an eye, but this is how we're gonna do it for this project. So obviously there's nothing inside the iris here. Oh my God, what is that called? What is the iris? Do you remember? Questions? Trying to stump me.
This? You said it was an iris.
Yeah, what is the iris? What part of the eye is that?
It is the color part.
Yeah, it's the color part of your eye. And then you have what would be the pupil in the middle of the iris. What part of the eye is the pupil?
The part that goes into the skull.
So it's kind of like a hole into your skull. So it's the black little dot inside the iris. We used shading for this one. So do you remember what shading is? What that keyword? Value. So what is value?
It's the lightness or darkness of the color.
The lightness or darkness of a color. You did go on that one. That's good. So what do you think? You ready for part 2?
Yep.
All right, so in the next video, we will add in color. We'll do some painting in the next video. We'll make it really, really interesting. All right, good job.
Adios, avocado.
Adios, avocado.